The last image from interstellar comet 3I-ATLAS froze scientists in disbelief. For weeks, they had been tracking it with calm precision, just another distant traveler passing through the neighborhood of our solar system. The routine was familiar. Collect the data, chart the trajectory, confirm the predictions, and then watch as the object disappeared into the vast, indifferent dark. That was the expectation. That was the plan. But space has a way of mocking our confidence. The comet itself was already a ghost when telescopes locked onto it one last time, its icy core eroding, its faint tail stretching thinner and thinner as gravity loosened its hold. Astronomers knew they were witnessing the end of something ancient, a fragment born in a star system unimaginably far away, condemned now to dissolve into silence. It should have been nothing more than a quiet farewell. Yet in those final hours, when observatories across the world tuned in for the last transmission, the ordinary became extraordinary. Screens flickered. Scientists leaned in, expecting a fading smear of light, the comet's last gasp before vanishing forever. Instead, what appeared jolted them upright. The silence in the control rooms became heavier than sound itself. People forgot to breathe. This wasn't just data anymore, it was a message. An image so unexpected that it cut through centuries of cold. Logical astronomy like a blade. The comet's goodbye wasn't fading light at all. It was something else entirely. And the moment it appeared, the world changed. At first glance, the image looked like nothing more than static. A blur of scattered pixels, a wash of meaningless light and shadow, the kind of digital noise astronomers were used to dismissing with a sigh. But as they adjusted the filters, sharpened the resolution, and leaned closer to the screens, something began to emerge. The shapes weren't random. They were deliberate, lines too straight to be natural cut across the glowing haze. Angles formed patterns, and those patterns began to repeat as if they had been designed. It was impossible. Comets don't leave blueprints, and frozen rock drifting through space doesn't sketch geometry into the void. Yet here it was, staring back at them, pixel by pixel, daring anyone to explain it. One researcher whispered that it looked like a map. Another argued it resembled circuitry, the skeleton of some vast machine. A third insisted it was just coincidence, human eyes desperate to find order in chaos. But then, as the light adjusted once more, something undeniable pulsed across the image. Symmetry. Nature is messy, unpredictable, uneven. This was none of those things. It was too clean, too precise, too intentional. The room fell silent. Every heartbeat seemed louder than the hum of the computers. Whatever this comet had shown them, it didn't belong to the natural order of the universe. It wasn't just dust and ice. It wasn't just a rock tumbling home to the stars. It wasn't just a comet anymore. Phones lit up across time zones as the image was forwarded from one observatory to the next. Within hours, NASA, ESA, and independent teams around the world were all staring at the same bewildering transmission. Some scientists leaned toward their screens in awe, whispering as if afraid their voices might break the fragile silence. Others scoffed, refusing to accept what their own instruments had captured. Dr. Elena Vargas, an astrophysicist from Madrid, was one of the first to speak publicly. "We ran every analysis," she said, her voice trembling through a late night interview. "It shouldn't exist. Comets do not produce structures like this. It breaks every model we've built." From Houston, a NASA mission lead countered with a more cautious tone. "We're seeing patterns," he admitted, "but humans are wired to find order in noise. Until we rule out instrument glitches or data corruption, we can't jump to conclusions." His words were steady, but the tightness in his jaw betrayed his unease. Others were less restrained. A group from the European Southern Observatory released a statement suggesting the geometry resembled a signal-like construct. The word ignited debates that spilled far beyond the scientific community. Was this a message? A coincidence? Or a warning from something humanity could barely comprehend? The divide deepened. To some, the image was evidence of technology far older and wiser than our species. To others, it was a dangerous illusion, the kind of mirage that could derail serious science. Yet no one could deny the pulse of symmetry. the clean design hiding within the comet's dying light. And just as arguments reached their peak, another transmission arrived, data that didn't just question the first image, but threatened to rewrite everything. Theories spread like wildfire, each more daring than the last. The cautious minds leaned on natural explanations first. Maybe it was just light refraction through the comet's thinning gases, an optical illusion born from cosmic rays striking the detectors at just the right moment. A trick of physics, nothing more? Safe, familiar, and comforting, but then came the whispers of hidden structures. What if the comet wasn't entirely natural? Could it be carrying remnants of something, fragments of a shell, or buried machinery long entombed in ice? The idea sounded like science fiction, yet the geometry in the image seemed too precise to dismiss. Others stepped boldly into the territory. Most scientists avoided alien technology. To them, the repeating patterns weren't coincidence. They were intentional, a signal encoded within the dying light of an interstellar traveler. A message, or perhaps even a test sent across the stars to see who was watching. And then, a few thinkers went further still. What if the comet's final transmission wasn't about aliens at all? What if it pointed to something deeper, unsettling, and closer to home? The possibility that we're living in a simulation. After all, what better way to shake the awareness of a species than by dropping an impossible anomaly right into its lap? Every explanation felt both impossible and strangely plausible. The world leaned in, each person secretly choosing which theory to believe. But then, as the debates raged, one idea began to gain weight. Evidence was pointing in its direction. And it was far stranger than anyone expected. At first, the strange geometry seemed mysterious enough, but then came the breakthrough that changed everything. A team at Caltech, desperate to decode the patterns, pushed the image through a series of enhanced filters. What emerged was not random static, nor the fading glow of a dying comet. Hidden deep in the noise was structure-repeating sequences of numbers, a rhythm embedded in light. It wasn't just symmetry anymore. It was code, the digits aligned with eerie precision, repeating again and again in ratios that matched fundamental constants of the universe by the golden ratio, even the speed of light buried in the flicker. To scientists, it was like finding fingerprints inside the fabric of reality itself. This wasn't chaos. This was communication. News spread within hours. The story leapt from academic journals into headlines, pushed onto every screen on Earth. Breaking. Final comet image contains code. The phrase echoed across news tickers, Twitter feeds, and late-night talk shows. Pundits demanded answers. Conspiracy theorists claimed vindication. Religious leaders called it a sign. And somewhere in the frenzy, ordinary people just stared into the sky, wondering if they were no longer alone, but hysteria brewed alongside. Wonder? Was this proof of alien intelligence? Or evidence of something much darker, that the universe itself was scripted? Forums lit up with speculation. What if we just saw the source code of creation? What if it's a warning? What if it's bait? Inside observatories, tension thickened. For the first time, one astronomer admitted in a shaky press conference, humanity stared at something it could not explain. The air was electric with both awe and dread, and then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the transmission ended. The comet slipped beyond reach, the signal cut, the screen went dark. The image, its impossible code, its haunting precision, was gone. Forever. The comet may be gone, but its final image still lingers like an unanswered question carved into the night sky. If what scientists saw was natural, a quirk of physics, light bent in ways we don't yet understand, then the mystery only deepens. Because even a natural explanation would mean our models of the cosmos are incomplete, that there are forces shaping the universe we haven't yet begun to measure. For researchers, that alone would be revolutionary, but if it wasn't natural, if the patterns really were intentional, then the implications are staggering. It would mean that somewhere out there, intelligence exists, or existed, that chose to leave a mark inside a passing comet. Not only would we no longer be alone, but we'd be confronted with a chilling question: why now, and why us? Already, agencies are drawing up plans for the future. NASA and ESA have quietly begun discussing missions that could intercept interstellar Visitors before they vanish into the dark. Private companies dream of robotic probes, even human expeditions, to chase these fleeting messengers. Humanity has learned one painful truth. Such opportunities are rare, and the next one might not wait. And so we stand at a crossroads. Was this our only glimpse of something greater, a one-time cosmic accident? Or was it the first warning, a signal meant to prepare us for what comes next? The comet may be gone forever, but its question remains, echoing across the stars, daring us to find the answer. One frozen image, a single frame of light captured at the edge of forever. That was all it took to change how humanity looks at the stars. What began as routine science, a farewell glimpse of a comet fading into the dark, ended as something that refuses to fade. The image still hangs over us, not in the sky, but in our minds, lingering like an echo that refuses to die out. Now, no one agrees on what it meant. To some, it was nothing more than a trick of light, the universe reminding us how little we truly understand. To others, it was a message written across the void, proof that we are not alone. And to the most daring, it was something even stranger. A mirror held up to our species, reflecting our deepest hopes and fears back at us in perfect, impossible symmetry. But that's the power of a mystery. It doesn't end when the comet disappears. It begins. The data may be gone, the image erased with the fading signal, but the questions remain haunting, thrilling, terrifying. Was it a warning, a gift? Or just an accident that revealed more about us than about the cosmos? The comet is gone. The signal is silent. Yet its last image will endure, a riddle carved in starlight, daring every generation to keep searching. And maybe, just maybe, it was never the comet speaking at all. Maybe it was the universe itself reminding us to listen.